Welcome to the Somos Sunnyside podcast, brought to you by the Office of Public Information, where we are sharing stories about the bright side of education.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. I'm Jose Gastelum, the proud superintendent of the Sunnyside Unified School District. And today our special guest is a student from Desert View High School, and his name is Sebastian Gonzalez. Welcome, Sebastian.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Are you all right? You're not too nervous because that mic's in front of you, are you?
No,
No, you're a mariachi, man. You're a mariachi. You should be comfortable with mics. So I think we have a trend here. It's our mariachi students are earning all the scholarships. So, it's that time of year where, we're closing out the end of the year and we're finding out about just these amazing accomplishments from our students. We're finding out that our students continue this trend of earning these prestigious scholarships. So we're going to get right to it, Sebastian. You just received the Dorrance Scholarship, and the Dorrance Scholarship is over $100,000 scholarship. It provides an opportunity to study abroad, and it's super competitive, right? I think there's only so many, across the country, or so many here in Arizona, and so tell us a little bit about that process. How do you feel? How do you feel being selected, being a finalist, and then being, and then finding out that you got it? So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, initially going into it, I didn't really know that this scholarship existed. I know that at Desert View they did have something with the counselors where they brought upon like the students that were able to do it. And at Desert View, I think there was maybe like 5 to 10 students that were initially able to apply. So from there, I decided to apply anyways just to see. I was applying to multiple different scholarships at the time, so I wanted to just broaden my horizons, I guess. And once I found out that I made it past the initial first phase, I was excited, but I wasn't just focused mainly on that one because I knew I had other scholarships I was applying to. And I made it past that second phase too, and once it got towards the essay responses I had to do, I was kind of feeling not too sure about completing them because I had been rejected by some of the other scholarships I had done, like the Gates, where I also had to write more essays. And then knowing that I didn't really get any money for Dollars to Scholars too, I felt unworthy and feeling that I didn't want to put extra time into doing these essays for no reason. But despite that, I decided to do it anyways. And I'm glad I did because I did end up becoming a recipient of the scholarship. But initially, it felt not worth my time.
Right, because a lot of work goes into it, right?
Especially during finals week when I had to work on my finals and the 5 essays I had to do at the same time.
Gotcha. So yeah, a lot of work goes into it. So to those students out there that are going to be seniors next year, it's well worth it, right? Now it feels well worth it, right?
It does,
and part of and I'm going to use the bad word rejection. Part of rejection and knowing that you didn't get certain scholarships, it's tough to deal with sometimes, right? It screws with your confidence a little bit. You feel like, you mentioned the word unworthy, where you feel man, I'm putting all this effort and for some reason, why don't I fit their expectation? But obviously for this scholarship, you did, and again, well worth it. I talked to your mom, Julie, who's also a employee of our school district, and she said, nope, Sebastian, he did it all himself. So I really applaud your motivation, right? Your motivation to get out there and put yourself out there, because I know it's not easy. And so I think the message to students out there is you never know if you don't try. Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes these scholarships are all about timing and fit and perseverance. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great word. And so tell us a little bit about the interviews. What for the listeners out there, for the students out there, what are these interviews like? I know for your final interview, you had to drive down to Phoenix, right? In the Phoenix area and have the final interview, probably in front of a panel and stuff like that. So talk to us a little bit about the phases. The first phase, obviously, is you do the application, and I guess you got some essay questions you got to fill out.
For the first phase, it was just maybe 2, asking about which university you wanted to go to, and basically putting all your main information, like your grades, GPA, your current school. And from there, I think they just, based off of your activities and stuff, decide if you make it to the next phase. And for the second phase, it was more simpler questions, which are like some fun ones, like would you rather be funny, rich, or famous, stuff like that. And also a couple essay questions, like dive deeper into some of your extracurriculars and stuff. I know for me, when I wrote some of my essays, I try to make sure I implemented each of my extracurricular activities into one of the essay responses. So I think that kind of helped grab the attention of the panel eventually. But when I found I made it to the finalist phase and having to go to Tempe, I was really nervous since that would be the first interview I would ever do. Being like a part of sports and mariachi, I haven't had a part to like be in a job.
Right,
so
like face-to-face interviews and having a job, right?
So I had to like learn how to interview and also learn how to speak with adults, because I know that that's like something I'm kind of working on still right now.
Right.
But I did talk with my like trio like administrator and also one of my dual enrollment teachers for PIMA writing, and we came up with different questions and did practice interviews to like help me prepare for that. I know that my first time practicing for the interview, I got really stressed out and overwhelmed knowing that I made it to the finalist phase, and like a lot of like depending on how I did would mean I would get $100,000 or not. So I know that like really impacted how I felt at that moment, and like mentally that was a lot too. But once I actually got there to the interview place in Tempe, it was at a hotel, like in like one of like the conference rooms. I had to write an essay first. They gave me 20 minutes with the essay prompt. It was me and two other students, one going to ASU or NAU, and we sat and they gave us essay prompts and we had to write an essay within 20 minutes.
On the spot,
On the spot, yeah, in front of whoever was there. And then after that, we took headshot photos. And from there, we went into the panel room with 5 different people. There was 2 alumni from the scholarship in there. I think 2 members of the board. And from my panel, I had Mr. Dorrance himself. I know the other people, I think, had his wife and like his niece or something. But in my room, it was Mr. Dorrance himself. So I was like a little more nervous for that too.
A little more pressure, huh? Well, obviously you handled it well because you are a Dorrance Scholar. And so, you know, I want to go back to what you said about feeling nervous because there was a lot on the line, right? You talked about, man, there was $100,000, over $100,000 on the line. So it's like, I can't screw this up, right? So that's a lot of pressure, you know, for a young man or young, you know, woman going through that, young lady going through that. And so, but, you know, you persevered. You used that word earlier. It's perseverance. You persevered through it. And I think the important thing is believing that you can compete. Believing that you can compete with others no matter where they come from, right? And Sunnyside students are you know, we'll put them up against anyone. And so you have definitely earned it. I mean, I'm sure it's a good feeling. I'm sure your parents are proud of you. I know the district's proud of you, and Desert View High School is definitely proud of you. And so it's also important. You mentioned some things about getting involved, right? And trying to mention those pieces in your essay about what you do in terms of activities. And I think, you know, we always preach that to students about whether they're in elementary, middle, or high school, to get involved. You know, find your purpose, because your purpose will always lead you to your passion, right? What are your passions? You know, whether that's athletics, whether it's fine arts, and you do a little bit of everything. You know, you're in mariachi, you do basketball, you do volleyball. You are our poster child for our district calendar. So everybody out there that has a district calendar, that is Sebastian. He's on the cover. So he's got his mariachi outfit on there and he's got a basketball in his hand, right? And so it just says that you can have it all here at Sunnyside, and it's important to get involved. So, you know, as a student, you know, you are doing amazing. I know you're ranked in the top 5 in your class, and your grade point average is a 4.2 GPA. So have you always been like a straight A student, you know, as you went from elementary to middle to high?
I think it really comes down to my competitiveness. I do have an older sister and a younger brother, so I try to beat them in any way I can.
Oh, there you go.
I know that I'll see.
You a middle child?
Yeah, I'm a middle child.
Yeah, so am I, man. We got something in common here. But I wasn't a straight A student like you were. But yeah, so you've always had pretty good grades throughout.
Yeah, I like to see what my sister gets. I'm like, oh, I could beat you. I can get a higher grade than you.
Gotcha.
I know that she gets annoyed and frustrated with that too, but that's what kind of motivates me. Wow. I think it also helps that being in sports and stuff, it like led to my competitiveness as well, and which also helped with me like persevering with the scholarship too. So I know that was also part of the reason I decided to finish the essays, because I wanted to like prove a lot of people wrong and be like, I think I deserve to be part of this scholarship too. And once I actually got it, I'm like glad, and I'm like good to be a role model for other people eventually too. That seeing that it's possible for someone from Desert View to get a scholarship this prestigious.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're one of I know of a few. You know, I know we have former Desert View students that have been Dorrance Scholars, and you're continuing that tradition. So to the Desert View students out there, you know, let's continue it next year as well. And so I do want to point out that, you know, you've attended Sunnyside schools your entire life here. You know, I think you went to Liberty, you said, and you mentioned you went to Gallego Primary and also Gallego Intermediate and Desert View High School. So, you know, you've been raised through the Sunnyside District, and you are definitely making us super proud. You know, I think as I mentioned, this scholarship gives you the opportunity to study abroad. Have you thought about where you want to study abroad?
I think with this scholarship, they give a location. I think it's Italy. That's like what their main base is at. And from there, I think we get to travel like all around Europe. And they said it's mainly focusing on like the humanities aspects, so learning about different art and culture over there. And then like during the summer school classes they have too, I'm going to get a minor in like humanities for being just a part of the program.
Oh, wow.
So I am excited for that too. And
absolutely.
I enjoyed being like learning history and stuff too, and I know that it's like away from the major I'm actually taking, but I'm glad I'm able to still learn about that while also being a part of the program.
Super cool, super cool. What a opportunity, right? And experience to be able to go to Italy. Not too shabby, right? So tell us about where you're taking your talents. Where do you plan to study? What are you going to study? And tell us a little bit about that major.
Right now, I'm planning to study physiology at the U of A, and with that, I want to eventually become a chiropractor. Currently, my dad works with the chiropractor. He's a massage therapist, so they kind of go like hand in hand. And seeing like how much money and how much impact the chiropractor my dad works with made me kind of also want to lead into that career, and maybe eventually like opening up like my own father-son business with my dad.
Well, there you go.
I think that would be pretty cool eventually too, but. Yeah. That's kind of what led me to want to do that, and also being able to help people like physically, like being able to be there and like build connections with my like clients, because I know that with my dad he'll have the same kind of people come in and be like, hey, how you been, like it's been a while, and like form bonds with them. So I'll be able to like help people emotionally and physically at the same time.
Absolutely, that's a great answer. And so, you know, I hope when you finish, you come see me and give me your business card, because I'm gonna need I'm hurting all the time, man. I'm gonna need a chiropractor, and you're going to have to straighten me out and get my back to where it needs to be. So it's good to know people, right? So that's super cool. We're going to cut to a quick break, Sebastian, but to our listeners, don't go away. We will be right back.
You will love Sunnyside Unified School District. Your child can thrive from pre-K to high school. We empower students with top-tier academics, innovative programs, and a strong community. Our graduates go on to do big things like earning prestigious scholarships and becoming college, career, and community ready. Don't believe us? Just watch. Enroll today at susd12.org.
All right, we are back. So we got Sebastian Gonzalez, senior at Desert View, a Dorrance Scholar recipient. He's going to be going to the University of Arizona, studying physiology, and he has dreams of becoming a chiropractor. And so that's going to be so cool. And I love that you say, you know, sometimes people say, well, don't chase the money, chase the happiness, but you know, you're chasing both. You know, you're chasing. It's something that you said your father works in that line of work, and you would love to open up your own practice, father-son practice, and you know that it's a career that it makes good money, right? And that's okay, because we get to choose our lifestyles depending on what we want out of life, right? I mean, if you work hard for it, then good, you deserve it, you know? So don't let anyone talk you out of that. So speaking of influences, because obviously I think your dad's has influenced you in a positive way to help, shape your goals and chasing the dream of becoming a chiropractor. And I hate to use the word dream because it makes it seem like it's impossible to achieve, but it's really a plan, right? I mean, it's your plan and it's your goal, and it's right there at your fingertips. So talk to me a little bit about, as you went through school at Liberty, Gallego Primary, Gallego Intermediate, now Desert View, Is there important people in your life that have helped shape your future, that had been a big influence in your life, right? Because success doesn't happen alone. Success happens with support. Success happens with those around you that help you reach your goals and help you become a successful person. So tell us a little bit about if there are those influential people in your life that have helped you get to where you're at today.
They would have to be my parents. I know that like growing up and everything I do, they're always there to support me, whether it's a mariachi performance or a basketball game, volleyball game. They're always there to support me. And it also does help that from like middle school to high school, my mom's kind of been working with the school. I know that at Geigo, she was part of the PTA, so she helped set up like different events that I would be able to participate in, and also as well as like everyone else in like my grade and the rest of the school. And then moving into high school, she kind of followed with me. So I think that.
Are you You're not a chipilon, are you? You're a little bit of a chipilon, Sebastian.
Sometimes, but
I'm joking. I'm only kidding. I don't want to upset the mommies out there because, but it's cute, that your mom has been by your side, throughout this. And I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
Yeah, but that I don't want people to get like misunderstand that like just because she works at the school that I didn't work hard for all the stuff I've obtained.
Bingo. I'm glad you're saying that.
Because I know a lot of times people might think that, but even if she didn't work there, I think I still would have put in the same effort and gotten the same things I've gotten to this day if she didn't. But I know that that's something that some people usually will tell me.
The haters out there, right? They're unfortunately there's people that will cause speculation like that, but obviously your mom didn't go in with you when you took tests, and your mom didn't go in with you, or your parents didn't go in with you when you had this interview with Dorrance, so it's well deserved, but I love that you bring that up because you've earned what's come your way. And so anybody else, is there teachers, coaches out there? I love that you mentioned your parents, because, to the parents listening out there, it does take great support from home for kids to be successful as well. But anybody else that you want to mention?
Well, back to like the sports and perseverance, I know that this year for basketball, we had to have a new coach because like there was like a new staff like overall. So for me, like having to learn how to like recommunicate and build a relationship with the new set of coaches was something I had to overcome. So that was something that I think really impacted me as a person I am now. So that's something that I think kind of influenced how I am. I also wrote about that in one of my essays too for the Dorrance Scholarship, which was about like a hard decision you had to make and overcoming something like doing the easy way or doing the right thing. And in that situation, I decided to continue playing basketball despite a lot of my friends deciding to quit the year prior, and instead of like quitting the easy way like they did. And then also when it came to volleyball, I had to learn an entirely new position because the old setter for volleyball had graduated and I was like new to it, so the coach had extra expectations on me, especially since he was a setter himself. So with that position, I had to learn how to communicate better too, and like overall become like a leader on the court at the same time.
I love that you talk about leadership and just taking on challenges. There's in life, that's what it is, right? New challenges come your way all the time, and going back to the word you used earlier, it sounds like you have great perseverance. I mean, sounds like you advocate for yourself well, and when times are tough, when times are challenging, you find a way to get through them, and so that's going to definitely take you a long way in life, and that'll always be a skill set that you will be able to utilize. And so the other thing I love that you talked about being competitive with your siblings, because I think it also helps set the tone for your younger sibling, right? You're someone that's been successful, you have good grades, you got a great scholarship, you got involved in sports. And so I'm sure your younger sibling looks up to you, and they may not always say it, but I'm sure they do, and I'm sure you're having a great influence on your younger sibling. What is your message to students out there? For younger students coming to high school, we're at the end of the year where our middle schools are promoting, and we're going to have a whole new set of ninth graders coming in. What's your message to students that are going to start high school?
I would say to get involved in as much as you can and try new things even if you might not like it. For me, at first going into Desert View, I was initially going to be part of the band, but there was no current band teacher at the time, and it just so happened that the long-term sub was the retired mariachi teacher at Desert View. So that's kind of how I ended up in mariachi to begin with. He kind of was like, "Hey, come here, you're gonna join mariachi now." So that was something that I had never initially planned on doing to begin with, but it's now something that I found like a big passion in. And I think that being a part of a lot of different extracurricular activities helps build you as a person and your character. I know that, like I said, being a part of sports taught me like how to persevere and how to communicate and like build relationships with adults. And also being in mariachi taught me how to like perform and like build relationships with my classmates and peers. But like overall being involved in school, I think really impacts how you are as a student, and like not only helps with your grades because of like eligibility checks and stuff, but also helps you form friendships and build bonds with other like classmates and stuff that you might keep forever.
Very well said. So, as I think about, that the message, that's our message to students. I want you to talk a little bit about just your overall experience in Sunnyside. I mean, what do you think Sunnyside provided you the adequate skill set to move on and to be successful in life? Our mission obviously is for students to develop a strong sense of identity, purpose, and agency so they can achieve what they want in life, right? Achieve the conditions they want in life. So, what was your experience like in Sunnyside, and if you could change anything, what would you change? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, going back to like my competitiveness, it kind of started from elementary school, and the reason why I left Liberty to like Geico was because I was part of the S.U.N program, and I had to move schools because of that. So I think that being part of the Sunnyside program was really impactful. Except the part of it being so separated at Geico, because I know that at Geico we only had 2 teachers, and it kind of felt like cliquey at times, where I was only able to like really like interact with just my classmates. I know that like I've heard from new like friends I made now that were from middle school were like, "Hey, like we didn't really like you that much because you guys were in S.U.N." It kind of was like discrimination sometimes.
Uh-huh.
So I think that would be something that they might want to try to like change a little bit, like kind of make them like interact more with each other. But I think that it was really helpful that they had those advanced classes for students like me. And like leading into high school too with the different dual enrollment classes and AP classes, I think that that's really impactful too, especially going into college and having those credits ready.
Right. So that's a point well taken. I think sometimes as school districts try to do the right thing for students, sometimes you create these silos, right? You create these divisions unintentionally with S.U.N is serving unique needs. It's a gifted program for students that need a more rigorous curriculum versus those students that are taking the general curriculum, right? And so it does create division at times. And I think the important thing is that all instruction should be rigorous, right? In terms of holding high expectations of excellence for students. And so, I think when we do that, this is the end result. And so, as we start closing here, any last thoughts, any last comments, any shout outs you want to give out there to your listeners?
Probably just to all of the friendships and relationships I made with like my peers and teachers and just everyone, coaches, family. I think that they've all impacted me as a person. And even if the relationship might have not lasted that long, I think it's still really meaningful to me. And I'm grateful to have met everyone at my high school and everyone that's helped me. Whether it's something small or big, I appreciate everyone, and I'm thankful for everything they've done for me.
All right. Well said. You're a smart guy. You know why he's smart? He's so smart is because he did not mention names. I mean, that is so smart. I always fall into the trap of thanking people and start mentioning names, and then you forget certain people, right? You leave them out. So that was pretty slick there, Sebastian, in terms of how you thank those. But I love your free spirit. I feel like you're someone that just took the chances. You pursued everything your heart wanted to pursue and your mind wanted to pursue, and now you're reaping the benefits of a scholarship worth over $100,000. Once again, our Dorrance Scholar from Desert View High School, giving the opportunity to study abroad. I mean, we can't wait to see what the future holds for you as you attend the University of Arizona and graduate. You know, we're still going to use you as our poster child here in Sunnyside, and especially for Desert View High School. And so I just want to say how proud we are of you. I mean, you are definitely an example for many of our students who are out there listening to this podcast, for many of our students wondering about what does it take to earn a scholarship like this. And I think you've covered a lot of that information for them. And so, you know, one of the things that I want our students to be confident. You know, I want all our students to be confident in what they're doing and to take risks, to be able to persevere through challenging times. We're all going to have bumps in the roads, but try it. You never, if you don't try and if you don't pursue what you want, you're just never going to know, right? And so although you experienced a little bit of rejection and failure, you were talking about, I applied for this scholarship and that scholarship, and I was getting tired of the no's. I didn't get these scholarships, and all of a sudden, boom, now you're a finalist for the Dorrance, right? Yeah. And you talked about the pressures of, man, I got over $100,000 on the line here. I can't screw it up, right? And you didn't. So, Sebastian, we want to congratulate you. As I mentioned, you make us proud. I mean, you make Desert View proud. Definitely, you've made your family proud, and we wish you all the best of luck moving forward. So, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your experiences. And to our listeners out there, hey, si se puede, right? And so, as we wrap up here, you know, we can't wait to see when you open up your business, and we're gonna hit you up. Yeah. You know, you're gonna have a list of clients. I got friends that could use your services as well. So, you know, with that, we are gonna close our show and thank you for coming on, and hasta la próxima. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it entertaining. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share our podcast with la comunidad. For updates on future episodes and more, be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website at susd12.org. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back for the next episode. Hasta la próxima vez en Somos Sunnyside.